So I asked my assistant, do we have any interaction with these guys? No, we got none. Well, then later they said, oh no, we just listened to all these videos. But in there they got something wrong though, because there was an actual case where this guy that was possessed started speaking a form of Phoenician that had been defunct for 3,500 years. We didn't even know what he was speaking. We had to write it down phonetically. And then somebody who studies languages took a look at it and said, we think that's how this particular form of Phoenician was spoken. This kid didn't even finish high school. So you'll see, so they'll see different things, but yeah, I've seen Levitation twice.
Like I said, what are you thinking when you see Levitation?
I get annoyed by it, frankly.
That's it? You just get annoyed?
Yeah, because of the fact that usually they're doing it like the case that I had, one of them was Ball. He likes levitating. So I just don't tolerate it because he's trying to distract you and get you focusing on, well, that's kind of weird, never seen that before. You know, that's what he's trying to get you to do, when you should be focusing on other things and just hammering him, and it's just his way to try and gain control over the particular sessions. So that's why I just don't tolerate it. That's why in the beginning I said those set of prayers we say before we start the formal rite, to clamp down on any of that type of thing from happening.
Do you ever worry that you'll be the one that's deceived?
Well, you get deceived from time to time as an exorcist anyway, because you'll ask them, not necessarily about the broader picture like in theology or things like that, but they're going to deceive you about the particulars of the case. They'll say things like, oh, well, the way you're going to get me out of here is you have to say this prayer, you know, over her 3 times or something like that. And then so you're like, all right, that could be the case. So then you say it 3 times and then nothing happens. And then they'll laugh at you, and you just work on your humility, knowing that that's going to happen, and Christ lets it happen for the sake of your own sanctification and for your own recognition that ultimately they only have to tell you what they tell you when he tells them they have to tell you. And so even though you're commanding them, and sometimes they'll give you information because Christ tells them, okay, you can tell them this stuff, but you can't talk about this stuff yet, or what have you. And so there's times when you're hammering them for weeks on end, and they say, I'll tell you, I can't, he won't let me tell you. Now sometimes they're lying even about that, but usually you can kind of tell. Because the way that when they're telling you the truth about something when they're under duress is they'll give you a flat panned answer, like, no, it's this. Whereas they're bad liars, so when they're lying to you, it's like listening to a 16-year-old girl who got caught being outside the house by her father. Like, what are you doing outside, you know? No, it wasn't this, you know, that kind of a thing. So they're really bad liars as a general. And the stuff that they propose is just silly. But the other thing is it's coherent. It's called the principle of coherence. It fits the possession case, or what you know theologically to be the case. And so, you know that this particular, so for one case, the demons kept saying she has to go to Lourdes. She has to go to Lourdes. Well, God had been giving her grace to want to go to Lourdes and go into the waters, and so she went to Lourdes, went into the waters, and came out, and then was partially liberated. So there's a lot of times you can kind of ferret out